they've been sort of moving in two different directions. First of all, we've seen a lot of these bond defaults, including some local state firms, that has caused a big scare in the bond market. But meanwhile, there's been a steady injection of cash into the banks through a number of different methods, and a fairly significant increase in interbank borrowings, which the PBOC a couple of years ago was very nervous about, because that can actually cause a lot of banks to get into some pretty dodgy financing. But now the interbank borrowing is up because PBOC clearly feels that there's more cash needed in the system, and they're hoping that cash will show up at the SME balance sheet, the small businesses that drive economic growth. We don't know yet if that's happening. So far, the small businesses have not been faring too well in China.
Interesting. Andrew, good morning. Thank you for joining in this conversation. What is your view on deteriorating relations between China and Australia? How bad could things get here?
Well, it's fascinating. I sort of feel like China, now that Biden's coming into the administration, China's taken the view that it's really going to scare Australia as much as possible, in part because it's signaling to the U.S. that it's not going to back away from its hardline stance. I can't see relations between Australia and China getting any worse, because they would basically have to give up on trade altogether. I mean, they've kind of hit rock bottom at this point. Now, when Biden comes in, he'll have an opportunity to start to professionalize a relationship between China and the United States. And it could be that Australia will be able to use that as an opportunity, and China also, to try to negotiate more regular relations between the two. China has to back away from these symbolic actions they do that really just anger the Western firms in Europe, the United States, and Australia. Small tit for tats and angry wolf warrior diplomacy. It's just really not effective. But they may be doing a little bit of this last minute before Biden comes in.
Right. You used a word there. Biden would try to professionalize the relationship with China. Could you elaborate a bit more on that?
Well, I mean, Antony Blinken is the new Secretary of State. He's a very professional person. A lot of the people come in have a long experience with China. There's obviously a reset in Chinese relations that's affecting Congress. We just saw that with SMIC and CNOOC. But they're going to, whatever hard-hitting measures they take against China, they'll do it in a sort of more straightforward manner and won't be done on an arbitrary basis. So I expect some form of TPP to be revived. There will be an attempt to do multilateral Chinese trade negotiations. Congress may still want to do some fairly bomb-throwing events to scare China, but the Biden administration itself is going to be much more professional in their dealings.